The world of business is more complex than ever. The world of human resources and compensation is also getting more complex. Welcome to the HR Data Labs podcast, your direct source for the latest trends from experts inside and outside the world of human resources. Listen as we explore the impact that compensation strategy, data, and people analytics can have on your organization. This podcast is sponsored by Salary.com, your source for data, technology, and consulting for compensation and beyond. Now, here are your hosts, David Turetsky and Dwight Brown.
Hello and welcome to the HR Data Labs podcast. I am your host, David Turetsky. We're recording live from the 2024 HR Technology Conference in beautiful Mandalay Bay Exposition Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm here with my friend, Tim Sackett. Tim, how are you?
I'm great, David. How are you?
I'm tired.
We both got the raspy voice going from 2 days of nonstop conversations.
Oh my God, I can't shut the hell up. But eventually I will, especially when I'm getting food later.
Yeah.
But we have the pleasure of talking to you, and there's so much really cool stuff that's happening all around us in the world of recruiting and applicant tracking systems, and there's a lot of buzz.
Yeah.
You've heard the buzz.
I've heard the buzz. AI.
Well, before we get to the world of AI, what's one fun thing that's happened to my friend Tim in the last year?
Oh, wow. We were before we got on air, I talked about I golf a lot. I had my first hole-in-one.
Dude, no way. That's awesome.
That was exciting. I actually had a good friend of mine and one of my cousins golfing with me. So I had like a big crowd of people that saw it. Like we got to watch it was a good shot too. It wasn't one of those like off a tree, bounces onto the green. It was
a squirrel.
It was like I hit this perfect shot, and I'm like, I thought it was going to be a little short. It bounced right in front of the hole about 6 feet and rolled in, and we watched the whole thing. It was pretty cool.
What was the yardage on that?
140 yards into the wind with an 8-iron.
Wow. Oh my God. No way.
Yeah.
That seems perfect.
Yeah. Like I mean,
you can't get better than a hole-in-one.
I think like group in this, I've actually my son has 2 holes-in-one. I actually was golfing with him in his first. And like that time, I was more excited than he was.
Sure.
And my playing group was more excited than I was. Like, it's just a weird thing. Like, you're just like, okay. Like, I just, what do you do? Like,
right. Right. You just pick up the ball from the hole when everybody else is done.
I know. They're all excited because I think you're like, tradition is you go by, you have to pay drinks in the clubhouse afterwards.
Oh,
so
really?
they're like, yes, free drinks.
Oh, my God. Well, but this is a badge of honor for you for a while now. Get to say, I hit a real hole-in-one.
Yeah.
It's not a mini golf hole.
And 6 days later, I hit one within 12 inches. And same thing, I was with one of the guys was with me again. He's like, I can't believe you just did it again. And we had 4 guys were standing on, waved us up on the green, and they were all cheering because they thought it was going to go in, and it just stopped short.
So is it because you've been playing so much that this is getting to be where you're getting so good, or is it just luck?
I don't think so. Like, you see, Tiger Woods or somebody has, 18 or whatever. That dude's played millions of holes. Some of it's just the amount, right, of golf. I still think, and there's also professional PGA golfers that have never had one. It's such a lucky thing.
Right.
You look at the stats of a hole-in-one, and it really is like a bolt of lightning kind of striking, right?
Right. Well, everything has to be perfect. You had to have the right stroke. You had to have the right club. You had the wind conditions had to be perfect. The grass on the green needs to be perfect.
Yeah. So it is weird because I would rather shoot a 79, shoot under 80, than have a hole-in-one and shoot 89.
Right. Yeah. Well, but it's nobody cares about your round. They care about that story, though.
They do. Yeah.
And that's why I say it's a badge of honor, because you're going to be able to carry that with you forever.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
In the hockey world, especially for a goaltender, we kind of think of, what's the big deal? Like maybe a shutout or something, but that's not just you. That's the entire team.
Your defense,
yeah. And I play hockey on Monday nights really late with a bunch of guys that I know. Really, my badge of honor is, they scored less than 10 goals on me in a night. So, yes, thank you for that cheer. That was a cheer from the crowd. But that's really great. So, Tim, let's now get to the topic at hand. So, let's talk about recruiting, and let's talk about recruiting technology. there's been a lot of evolution that's happened, and really evolution's been happening for quite some time.
Yeah.
But to you, what have you seen lately? What is like really remarkable to you about the evolution of recruiting technology?
What I love about the Workforce Agility Limited Series by Cornerstone was we talked to executives and customers all about skills. Skills. Cornerstone has a wonderful background in learning and development, training, etc. Their LMS is world class, but they've centered the business now, not just on that, like building upon that, but building upon how everything has moved to the skills economy. So check out the limited series called Workforce Agility, and you can get it wherever you get your podcast. And it's just a wonderful series where we talk to their executives on the shift of why, and also their customers that are using it. So check it out whenever you get a chance. Appreciate it.
You know, it's an interesting thing because you see it here. I mean, you see like a lot of the trend stuff like here. When we were here last year at the Pitch Fest, which is a startup competition, right?
Right.
We were, because like that point, like hiring maybe started to maybe slow down a little bit. You didn't really hear it. It was still like hot as can be, right?
Right.
And there was no recruiting tech in startup.
Really?
And we're like, this is, like, it was odd. Like, there was just none really. And we just had gotten like, big chat GPT stuff. And so we thought, okay, yeah, it's going to happen. But like, it just wasn't there in the startup world. And then this year we come and like every other one is a tech one. So there's this trailing thing where you go, great, you built it, but now like the market's changed again.
Yeah.
So then next year we'll see like, okay, what are people like wishing they had this year that's not there? The other thing I've seen is because of like the generative AI stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody came out with, I could literally like, it's like the 5 same features, right? Mm-hmm. I can help you write a better job description. I can help you do better communication to, like personalize, blah, blah, blah. And it didn't matter if you were a CRM, an ATS, a sourcing tech or whatever, interview tech, they all had the same features. And then the buyer goes, so you guys all are the same? And you're like, well, no, but the marketing is so much so that it feels like everybody's turned into the same thing. When they're really different, but they're all marketing the same features. Right. Even though that's only like a tiny part of their feature set, everyone wants to get the new AI stuff out there.
So are they all competing against each other, or are they all cooperating
together? Well, that's the crazy,
but
they're not really. They shouldn't be competing against each other, but I think the buyer actually believes they're doing the same thing. So now the buyer may be putting them in a same bucket where they're actually in different verticals. So again, we had this issue. It just becomes more confusing. Right. And I don't know if this is really the technology that's confusing. It's more of the marketing of the technology. It becomes very confusing, I always ask, like, especially like we get this on the Pitch Fest where someone comes in, they have 3 minutes, tell you what they do. And after 3 minutes, my first question is, so what do you do? Like, you have 11 words to tell me what you do. Can you just tell me what you do? Right. And like, oh my God, like if you can't just like put that in one sentence, there's a problem. Right.
Well, that should be what the Pitch Fest is about, right?
We actually, because, George LaRocque, a friend of mine that is the MC there and does like stuff with here in the Investor Summit. Right. We actually changed the rubric and actually asked them, we gave them 2 sentences. I actually only wanted to give them 11 words. George was nicer. And he said, like, give us 2 sentences of what you do. And again, it's 2 sentences of marketing speak to make them sound super sexy. And I'm going to go, okay, I still don't know what you do.
Well, shouldn't that disqualify them right away? I mean, I'm not trying to be offensive to people, but like, if you can't be just freaking honest and just, you can have some marketing words in there. Just stop the bull and get right to the point.
You do question if they are real tech or is it vapor? Right. Is it really a service, not a technology? It hurts them. I think the people that come and say, here, this is exactly what we do, and they show it, and they talk about the real life HR use case for it, right? Right. And they can give multiple examples of that. Like immediately, they're going to be raised up higher. They're going to get higher scores, right?
Isn't that like a don't say it, prove it kind of thing?
Yeah.
Because, I'm in sales and, I get that all the time. Listen, I heard what you have to say. Show me the use cases. Show me the client stories. Show me the references that have done what you say. Yeah.
And as a judge, you try to help them. Like I try to ask the question that says, look, I know what you do because I'm in this space and I look at a million things and but like you have all these other people in the audience that are voting for you that I can tell you right now, they have no idea what you do. I could go around with a mic and they'd be like, I don't know.
Right, but it's the person who has the best presentation or the best style or the best gimmicky bullshit.
And the marketing is way better on these startups. Like they're spending money. I mean, the product looks really good.
Yeah.
It looks like professional product, right? So then sometimes you get like, you're like, oh gosh, it looks like a really good piece of stuff I want to use. But just because it looks great doesn't mean it necessarily does what it should be doing. But
is that marketecture or is that real product at that point?
It could be both. Some have real products. Some are still like in the idea design phase. Like this is what it's going to look like, but they can't show me a real product. Like,
oh, so when they're in Pitch Fest, it's not a real product yet. Or
could be. Some are pre-revenue. Some are post-revenue. Some have already raised $3 million. Like there's some rules, but the rules are kind of it allows for a big range to come in.
Okay.
So you do have people coming in going like, look, I'm looking for $500,000 to actually build out an MVP.
Right.
And then you have some going, we're already doing $1 million in ARR,
Right, yeah, well, yeah, I mean, pre-revenue people, to me, that's brilliant. But I mean, if it were me, I'd wait until I actually had the money.
That's what I'm like, yeah, if you can't, kind of bootstrap together an MVP, like why are you coming,
Right. Because you're competing against people who've already solved that problem. You probably already have clients and whatnot. We're telling client stories.
Yeah.
So it's just so hard.
The great thing about that, though, David, is like when you see these entrepreneurs coming and building product, like there's a little bit of like, you have to disassociate yourself from reality a little bit to be an entrepreneur and think you're going to do because again, it's the 99% of these things are going to fail.
Right.
But when you listen to every single one of them, they all believe they're the one that's going to make it. And
absolutely.
There's something really motivating and inspiring about that, right? That's the core of what you do and come here, because you don't know. At some point, all these giant booths that are here were that glimmer in someone's eye that think I have an idea.
Right.
And they, so you can't say that it doesn't work,
Right. But then again, there might be people on the floor that are actually solving the same problem. They're just not as good as marketers, or they're not as good as pitch people as those people.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. There was a Japanese company that came in and you could tell, I mean, obviously the founder, CEO, first language Japanese, second language English. He actually brought, one of his employees that was a native English speaker, and she led most of it. She would help with some of the questioning. I think that's smart because I've had other people that haven't.
Yeah.
And again, it's no offense. That's great that you come, but you're not. But it's hard in 3 minutes.
Right.
If you're struggling with English to get that pitch across.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking subscribe. This podcast is made possible by Salary.com. Now, back to the show.
So the evolution of recruiting technology, it's ongoing. It's going to continue. What's the biggest thing you saw here that kind of wowed you?
I think if we go back last year and take a look at, I think everyone felt like, got to be careful with AI. The technology can be biased, and the bias, and it can learn to do bad things, blah, blah, blah. I think we're starting to see the tipping point where people are going, oh, wait, actually the technology can't be biased. It could be learned biased, but I can also control for that.
Right.
Unlike a human.
Right.
And so we had this concept maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, where it was like the technology is more biased than humans. And it was wrong.
Right.
But if you went to a crowd of 100 HR leaders, they would all believe that. Oh yeah, definitely, right? Because the media portrayed it as like the evil, technology.
Right.
And I kept saying no, I'm in the minority, but I truly believe the closest we'll come to bias-free hiring is the use of AI in sourcing and screening. And so, now I think the coolest thing is let's go traditional. And this, by the way, this is still most hiring. Recruiter puts out a job, they get 100 people apply. Recruiter goes in, they take a look at 20, 25, they reach out to 10 or 15, 3 or 4 call them back, they screen, they send those on to the hiring manager. Hey, here's the best of the who applied.
Right.
75 people didn't even get a sniff.
Right.
They didn't get part of the process.
Right.
And you turn AI into that, and the AI starts to screen, or AI at least starts to show you who the best are. For the first time in history, 100% of the people can be a part of the process,
right?
Which is going to make us more diverse, more inclusive, better talent, higher quality. All of that stuff is because of AI, because the humans just didn't have the capacity. But again, we could have had the capacity to do it, but we couldn't put that much resources to it, and the company would lose money. Yeah.
At scale, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The thing that bothers me, and I think we've talked about this in the past, about that process, though, is when they get rejected 8 seconds after the button hits.
Yeah. Again, I still think, like, again, I can, I've seen 4 or 5 different live voice screening AIs, and it's amazing. It's literally like, if you think about who's the best recruiter I ever talked with, the energy, the voice, they were interested in me, and like they loved their company.
Passion, yeah.
That's those AI screeners now. Like, it doesn't sound like some computer voice. This sounds like a real person. There's a little latency, right? But so I have a feeling that we can actually deliver really good feedback at scale with AI that actually is real feedback.
And having that person even get that call is exciting.
Yeah.
If you just turn them over to the disposition pile, they're going to be pissed.
Yeah.
And they're never going to come back to you again. They may be the best for the next job that comes available. Yeah. But now you've destroyed your pipeline.
Here's when we talk about, and like, I know Burson did this in his keynote this morning, they talk about the agent stuff, right? The AI agents. Right. Like, there is a real use case here where you start to take all the data that somebody did, like through, like, hey, we did this assessment and we did this interview, and AI is going to be able to go and take a look at all of that and say, hey, you didn't get chosen, but we appreciate everything you did, and here's like where we saw your strengths, and here's what we'd love to see you do. Like, because
that's a value add.
It's a value add, and it's going to be able to do it with all the bumpers in place to make sure they never say anything that's going to get you legally trouble.
Wouldn't it be really cool to that point if it would say back, listen, you applied for this job, but here's a better job for you. And by the way, we put you in for that role because your resume was really strong in these areas, and we think you'd be a better fit there.
Yeah. Oh, for
sure. You're going to get a call.
One of the companies that, had me do it, they said, hey, go ahead and tell us whatever job you want. We don't care. Just give us any job. Be as crazy as you want. And I said, I want to be the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. So the AI agent called me, right, and immediately started digging into my coaching experience, my career, what would I do in these situations. Of course, I'm not a pro basketball coach. I never played pro basketball. It got rid of me so fast in the nicest way. And the technology called back, and they go on a scale, like they have a scale of like 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best in terms of like your rating for a candidate. And they go, all of the testing we've done, the worst we've ever gotten anybody was a 2. You got a 1. It knew right away.
Wow.
And by the way, it got rid of me very quickly. And I'm like, that to me, that's actually a great recruiting.
Sure.
To know that, hey, we have somebody here that's just, I mean, come on, like this is a joke.
Right.
Like there's no, and again, they didn't treat me that way.
Right.
It treated me well, but immediately after like 3 or 4 questions knew. It was really gracious. Asked me if I had anything. We'll be in touch. Blah blah blah.
And now they treated you like a freaking human, and it was a bot that treated you like a human.
Yes.
But that, to me, that's next generation stuff. It's next generation thinking, because now I feel appreciated.
Yeah, we had one of them in the Pitch Fest that actually did a live demo of it, and that's very dangerous here because you know how it is, like with. Like Wi-Fi and everything else. Too, yeah. And so we were like, he's going to try it. And he did it live, and it was really good. And he said, like, there was like, maybe because it's only a 3-minute pitch, like a minute into the interview, he's like, I have to go, sorry. And it was like, oh, no problem. We'll connect back. Let us know.
Really?
Like, it immediately could like respond to that. And you're just like, wow. Oh my gosh.
Well, to me, that's the promise of artificial intelligence, where it's giving HR a reason for its existence. It's helping provide those ways in which HR can't freaking scale to do all those things, to call back the 100 people, to make sure that they felt. But also, now what it's also going to do is it's going to provide feedback, as you said, not only to the person who got the interview, but also to the hiring manager to say, listen, we interviewed 100 people out of 100. Here are the best 10. The rest of the 90, we're going to disposition them this way. Don't worry about it. We got that.
I like to think, like, I so often, and I'm sure you do, you talk to like with CEOs, and they'll just go, oh my gosh, if I could just find people that want to work for me, that want to work for our company, like I would teach them everything they know. Like I just need like passionate people that want to be a part of us. And like, again, I think when you take a look at all the people that apply that maybe didn't have the stuff, so they never got a sniff, they never got an interview, but all of a sudden you could you could go into the algorithm and say, you know what, if something comes across where they're super passionate about working for us, right, and it comes across in the interview, we might not like level them up to that job, but we want to make sure we star them and put them in a pile where somebody like in person is communicating with them, because we're going to find something for those people, right? And like all of a sudden now you're building on culture with the people who really want to work for you, and like turns into like great stuff. Like you just never know. But before, those people would literally, it'd be a black hole. They never heard from you. They got this crappy disposition email. Yeah. And all of a sudden you turn like maybe one of your biggest fans to your brand into a negative, or one of your biggest customers, right? Like, hey, I'm a top 5. I buy more purses from you than anybody else, you know?
Well, now they become a detractor, and social media is what it is. So they're going to tell their experience to the entire world, and everybody's going to know about it. Yeah. And nobody wants to be treated like that. Hey, are you listening to this and thinking to yourself, man, I wish I could talk to David about this? Well, you're in luck. We have a special offer for listeners of the HR Data Labs podcast. A free half-hour call with me about any of the topics we cover on the podcast or whatever is on your mind. Go to salary.com/HRDL consulting to schedule your free 30-minute call today. If only our world was that perfect where all companies could do that. Now, you mentioned something before about it's not about the technology. Is it about the configuration of the technology? Is it about the data and the training of the technology? I mean, and the reason I'm going there is because of the Workday example, and how it was seen as being biased, and there's the lawsuits about it. And I will tell you, I don't know the exact details.
Sure. Yeah.
But to me, that speaks of that's a technology that wasn't configured correctly. That's just my.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is understanding what AI is and what AI isn't, right? Like everyone wants to say the AI is biased, but like AI at its core is a young toddler being trained by something, and you go, wait a minute, like we shouldn't have been shocked when OpenAI did, or Gemini, or any of these giant open language models like did really bad stuff.
Yeah,
because you're like, it was being trained by the internet.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Like, all the bad stuff on an internet. Like, would you ever let a toddler loose on the internet? Like, you just wouldn't, right?
Well,
and so we shouldn't have been like. So I think like people figured out, and I think the best companies in our space are building private language models.
Right. And
we think, well, so it still could just come and do something. No. This is a software program. It can't do whatever it wants.
Right.
If it is designed specifically to do one thing, it can do only that thing. It can't just make up its own rules and do whatever it wants. And I think people don't understand that. And so we had some early examples of some bad things happening because people were testing probably like public language models where they shouldn't have been. Right. Or they let, the training in terms of machine learning go too far before being checked.
Yeah.
And so it learned to be biased based on what your behaviors were, not itself.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so again, I think no company wants to be on the front page of the New York Times having biased technology.
No.
So I think we see now that they're being very cautious, very careful. A lot of it is like, hey, it doesn't actually respond by itself. It will respond, but it still forces you as a person to actually send, right?
Right.
And so you're the double checker.
Right.
There's a lot of that going on. Again, I think eventually 2 years down the road, that won't be the case. We'll understand that, this is a private model. The best ones I've seen are like, they built a private model to do something specific. They actually built a separate model that says, hey, whatever this model says, if there's anything that could be considered offensive, we're going to go right into a pre-approved response loop, right? Where it says like, hey, you know what? That's a great question. We're going to have a human reach out to you.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And so it's incapable of actually being offensive.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's all we really care about, right? For our brands.
In the old days, we used to call that QA. We used to call it unit tests.
Yeah.
I think. And we used to try and test for all of those negative things from happening. In fact, at Workscape, I had built a legal language dictionary, I called it. Yeah. But it had nothing to do with legal language. It was all the bad words that you couldn't say.
I demo so many things and work with so many of these companies, and I've tested a couple of where they said try to break it.
Right.
Try to get it to do something. Try to get it to write code. Try to get it to do anything. Try to get it to be mad at you.
Yeah.
And it's impossible. And again, those are the ones that are building private.
Right.
I have some that I'll go and I'll ask them well, what are you using for your backbone? And they'll go OpenAI, and I'm like, oh. And they're like, oh, but it's enterprise. I'm like, still, it's a public language model.
Exactly.
You can't control that. You can bumper it. But again, I can also then create rules in my querying that can change the bumpers, so it's like,
really?
if I'm smart enough, and again, the software companies are getting smarter and smarter and smarter on how to stop people trying to change it, right?
Right.
So it becomes more difficult every single day.
Yeah.
But like, again, it's still risky when you're using public models. Yeah.
And that's what a lot of the people that are in these enterprises today there are no guardrails on them being able to use OpenAI, Gemini, Copilot, or whatever, and some of the others that I don't know, and be able to do that from a consumer perspective.
Yeah.
And type in whatever query they want that may actually be giving out intellectual property that they don't realize.
Yeah.
So where do you think that the companies need to stand? Is this an IT locking this stuff down, or?
I don't think so. I mean, here's the ironic part is, like, we have job postings out there saying, hey, we want you to come in and use AI and develop AI and do all this stuff. But, well, by the way, we're not going to allow you in the recruiting process to use AI, or we're not going to, do all these things. I think we have to know, like, right now, we let people just do whatever they want. And we're like, well, isn't there a lot of risk at that? I always take it as like, hey, if I'm working with somebody that I think is a poor performer and I ask them to do some work for me and they send me something, I'm double, triple checking.
Yes.
I'm not going to let that go without me saying, wait a minute, I don't trust what Tim's putting out. I'm going to check it. I'm doing the same thing with my AI.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to just go, oh, it's AI did it, it must be perfect, and just send it and all of a sudden realize, oh my gosh, it said something not true or wrong or whatever.
Right. Well, there's a warning there. There's a tail of people using these models and just saying, oh, well, it's good enough.
But there's also really great use cases for this stuff that actually work really well. Like, it's amazing. You can go in there and be like, hey, I want 1,800 a day calorie diet with 150 grams of protein and this many carbs, and I want to buy everything at Trader Joe's, immediately it gives you this list, and you're like, holy crap, this is amazing.
And I'm gluten-free, or I'm shellfish intolerant, or whatever.
There's so many cool things you can do. So I think, first you have to get out there, play with it, understand what it can do, be comfortable with what you're gonna, and the hallucinations. I think I told you when I first started doing it, I was like, what's the most controversial quote Tim Sackett's ever said on,
Really?
And so I came back that don't hire ugly people. It will decrease the value of your company. And I'm like, wow, that is controversial. I never said that. So it took a quote that I said, only hire pretty people. It increases the value of your company. And it turned it around to a negative and made it more controversial with ugly.
No way.
And so it completely hallucinated it. Because I said, I'm like, that's a great quote. Where did you get it from? And it took me to the blog post where I wrote it. And it was completely, and I said, well, find me that quote on this. I can't find it. It's not, so did you make this up,
Well, and in that case, was the AI lying?
Well, they call it hallucination. It's a fancy way to say it lied. Yeah.
Really?
So it gets less and less. There's less hallucination that happens within the AI. Again, that's a public model,
But is that the AI going rogue, or is that the AI trying to give you back what it thought you wanted?
Exactly. That's a lot of that's what it is, right? Because I said controversial, right? So it knew to go and of the millions of words I've written online, it was going to go out and see all of those and then make something controversial,
Dude. And you said it on the HR Data Labs podcast. Wow, but that's so fascinating, because that does get to the dystopian concerns that people have about, is the AI going to start doing things that we are telling it?
And you see this on social all the time, especially with the image generation stuff, right? Where you can basically tell it to do anything, and for the most part, it'll give it to you, and then all of a sudden it gets out there and someone goes, oh my God, did you see this picture? And you're like, it's AI. That's not real. But it looks so real.
I know. Well, I've used Adobe Illustrator.
Yeah.
AI, that's the initials for Adobe Illustrator. And it can do some fascinating things, but you have to know how to prompt it. You have to know how to write it the right way.
Yeah.
And it could take you 8 hours, and then after the 8 hours, you go, oh shit, I could have just drawn this myself.
Yeah. I think another trend we're seeing is that, because it used to be we thought everyone's going to become a prompt engineer, and HR, you got to learn how to prompt. They're building this stuff now where you can just natural language ask what you want. You don't have to learn how to prompt, and it will prompt. It'll write the prompts for you, right? And you can just kind of keep going back and reiterating based on real language. And I think that's ultimately, eventually you'll just be talking to your computer, right? Hey, I need this data. I actually talked with some data science people today, and they're like, the part of that is, if you're not really good at data anyways, you ask for something and it just gives it to you, great. But maybe what you got is not what you think you got. what they're trying to recreate is really teaching you how to do BI, where you go,
right.
Hey, I need this data. And it would go, why are you looking? What do you need about that data?
Right.
Why,
right.
Oh, because my CEO's upset because we can't open things because they think it's this. And like, oh, well, maybe we should deliver this data story around all these aspects of what's causing the problem, and like teaching them like really what that's all about. And I think, again, all of a sudden now as an HR leader, you're like, I'm now a data professional. Like, I'm like really good at this. Like, I'm going to be an expert based on I have this agent that's great at BI.
And that to me is scary and beautiful at the same time, because now it's trying to train you on the better way of asking it the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful.
Have you seen
Scary
the new,
as shit,
like, I
but
think
it's
the most late, like the latest model out that's a paid model for ChatGPT will actually show you how it's thinking. And it actually says words like, it actually, it will type it out as it's,
really?
And it will show you the process. And I can't remember what they actually call it, but what they're trying to show you is, like, this is how it actually is coming up to the answer it gets you.
Wow. Because
you can challenge it often. Like, I'll go back and say, are you sure these are the top 5 things, blah, blah, blah. And it'll come back and go, you're right. I know there's 2 other ones I think I would add and replace this one. Like,
wow.
It is, but like, if it just gives you the answer, you don't see where, like, oh, well, this is where I got that, but then I found this one over here. And like, and so like now you can start to dig into the black box, and like, it will show you it thinking. And that's fascinating.
It is. I mean, if you ask somebody, if you're sitting there with, like, if I'm sitting there with you and I'm asking you, well, how did you come up with that?
Yeah.
First of all, you're going to get really annoyed that I'm...
But if we did the exercise to brainstorm it out.
Right.
Like, I want to know everything you're thinking, and we're going to write it down. That's how we formulate the answer as well.
Absolutely. But then again, it's also the secret sauce that makes Tim Sackett who he is, right?
For sure, yeah.
And I don't want to replicate that. I'd love to know your thinking, but that's the reason why I'm talking to you, is because your brilliant mind, I'm not going to become you, but it's really cool to understand how you came up with that. But
yeah.
I just want to know what you think, dude.
I know, yeah. I do. I still think, like, to me, that all this comes back to is, where do you stick the human back in the loop?
Right.
Where do you come? Where do we need uniquely human experiences? Whether that's in recruiting, in HR, in employee development, and wherever we do stuff. Right. I think to me, if the AI gives you a capacity to deliver a more human experience, and like, I always go back and like, people are like, oh, eventually you'll have like these AI friends and AI coworkers and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I still believe like the unique human thing we have is we don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
And we want to be with other humans. And so like, can AI help create those experiences where I feel like, hey, I'm engaging with people that I've never like talked with before, but the AI knew we were thinking the same way about something, and we could come up with a great solution for it, right?
and that's not dystopian.
No, I think that's a hopeful part of it, right? Like, that's the best thing, yeah.
But it becomes dystopian in like a couple degrees difference, right? Where, that person does start talking to the computer instead of start talking to people, or stop talking to people, stop relating. And I think this is a movie we've all seen, but hopefully that's not anytime soon.
Yeah.
You've just gone through 30 minutes in one question.
Like it was nothing, right?
Like, exactly. And we could keep doing this like all afternoon, but I want to be respectful of your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I look forward to the HR Technology Show to talk to you and to have these conversations.
I always enjoy it.
Thank you so much. Take care and stay safe.
That was the HR Data Labs podcast. If you liked the episode, please subscribe. And if you know anyone that might like to hear it, please send it their way. Thank you for joining us this week, and stay tuned for our next episode. Stay safe.